Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Blooms and Brushstrokes. Thank you so much for joining me in this little watercolor journey of mine. For those of you that are new here, welcome to my channel, and thank you so much for joining and for stopping in and checking out what's going on. And for those of you that are returning, thank you so much for the continued support, all the love you guys give, all the feedback, comments, all that good stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For all the supers you guys send as well, that is greatly, greatly appreciated. So I appreciate all of you so immensely. Thank you guys so very much. I really love doing this YouTube channel. It has helped me to stay focused and continue to practice watercolor when I feel I'm in a slump. It's helped me to share my gift with everybody or with everybody that's joining here. I had done a questionnaire a while ago because lots of people would ask me to teach them how to do watercolor paint, and I asked what was the best way to do that for people. And while a lot of local people said in person, many people also said online. So this is the route that I went to help to be able to share what I love and one of my hobbies. I am a watercolor, a self-taught watercolor hobby artist. I am a full-time hairstylist and I own my own hair salon. And so this is just a fun little side thing for me. I have been monetized, as I've mentioned in previous videos, but that is just really recent. And even at that, I haven't actually received my first payment from them, and it's very minimal. So this is truly a labor of love for me, and I do this honestly. If I'm able to make a few dollars and reinvest it into what I'm doing, then that makes me happy. I have also been so fortunate to be contacted by a company called Fuumuui. I'm not sure if you guys know of them. They are out of China. They are a watercolor supply company. They specialize in brushes, paints, and different supplies. They've contacted me to collaborate with them. So they had given me a set of paints, the Opaque watercolor paint set, a little while ago, and I did a tutorial with them, which I will be using a little bit in today's tutorial. Here they are. So that's them. And then most recently, I have a new kitten. His name is Monty, and he's very active. And so he's hanging out. For those of you who have not met him, he's my new little guy. And then I have Tex. He's just chilling outside right now. But this little guy is full of energy. So you'll hear his little bell dinging around. And I apologize for that. Whoopsie, sorry, bud. But it's part of life here. I have to spray him every once in a while with a little bit of water. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. Sorry. Most recently, they have sent me this set of artist brushes. These are their set of 6 squirrel hair mop brushes. And so while I use a number 8 predominantly, a round brush, I was really excited to try these because I do plan to do a gallery show, and I'll have some bigger paintings. And I was curious as to how these would work with the dot technique and the bigger paintings. And I think they're going to be awesome because I was sampling them out the other day on a smaller painting, and I had a lot of fun with them. So I think even working on a bigger scale is going to be great. But we'll be using a few of these today in our painting. So that'll be a lot of fun. So thank you to Fuumuui. If you guys are interested in purchasing either the paints or the paint brushes, here is my link for you guys, and you can use the code BLOOMS to receive, I think it's 10% off. Sorry, you guys. So you can use that with the code BLOOMS to make any purchases on Fuumuui. And if you're interested in either of these specifically, then that goes towards a credit for me. So thank you guys so much if you're interested in them. So yeah, these brushes are nice. They are made a little differently, which I will show you guys a little up close when we get to the overhead viewing of the video. So before we get started, I'm going to tell you guys what I'm going to use today. So I'm using the Fuumuui artist brushes, the Fuumuui Opaque water paint set. I'll likely be using this predominantly for the background, but who knows? We'll see how much fun we're having. I'm going to use the Mungyo watercolor paint set as well. I love these because of the variety of color. We're also going to be using some gold metallic ink, and I'm going to use the Windsor Newton Gold ink today for this. And also, likely I'll use a few different brushes. So my number 8 round, maybe a 10-0 liner, number 1 script. I usually go to towards those. And then, of course, I do some line work with the Micron Archival Ink Pens. And so we've got a 01 that we'll be using today. So those are the supplies that I'm using. We are going to be doing a picture of an anemone, which is a beautiful flower that grows in the springtime here where I live. They are grown from these little corms is what they're called. And they're really beautiful flower. They're used a lot in wedding bouquets and floral bouquets. But because of our growing conditions here in Saskatchewan, they are only growing really in the summertime. They're not a big fan of the heat. So I don't have them growing here in this garden, but I have grown them previously at my ex's farm. And they're absolutely gorgeous flowers to grow. Maybe we'll try some next year again, but I just didn't do it this year. They're beautiful, and I did a short on the anemone a few weeks ago, and somebody had commented that they would like to see a tutorial on that. So to honor that, today we are going to do the anemone, and we are going to be using all these fun supplies. So get everything together, you guys, and join me for the painting. I'm all set up here. So this was the anemone I did a short with, and it's okay. It's not my favorite, but I know that this time doing it, it will probably be better. I'm going to use blue tones this time as opposed to purple because I just don't love doing the same thing 2 times. But if you want to use purple, just similar to this, just change up your colors. And as we're going through, I'm just going to use blues. I decided that earlier because you can see, if you look up anemones, there's really bright, vibrant blue ones that are absolutely gorgeous. So this is fun because we are going to be, it's layered up again. There's different layers in this flower as opposed to one-dimensional, one flat layer. So there's more going on here than some of the tutorials we have been doing previously. So here's a screenshot for you guys. I've got a hair on there. A screenshot for you guys if you need to trace out the flower at all. I haven't drawn in the little stamens here in the middle because I will splatter that on and draw it on with the black Micron ink pen, I do believe. Well, we'll see. I just haven't drawn those all in there because it's a detail I didn't need. I mostly just need the outline to keep me on track of where I'm working because as I've said before, it's easy for me to get totally out of control and then make a mess of the whole entire painting. So here are those beautiful brushes. Oh, I'll put them up for you guys. Here, I have sampled them. They're gorgeous brushes. Oopsie daisy. So they go down from number 12, 10, 8, did I believe someone say 8, 6, 4, sorry, can you guys see that? There we go, that's better. And a 2. So that's nice. They are made out of squirrel hair, 100% pure squirrel hair, which is kind of interesting. They're wooden handles. They've been bound together with, they call this polyurethane leather. Essentially, it's a plastic and wire. And so that just helps with the weight, the durability, the rusting, and just the comfortability of being able to hold that in your hand. So that's nice. These are very lightweight. The thing with mop brushes is that they hold a lot of water. So mop brushes definitely can be a little interesting to use when you're working with a bit finer detail. But because we're doing the dot technique, it is kind of fun to use them as well because they do hold quite a bit of water. And so, and they, you can move a lot of paint with them. I likely won't be using this number 12 until the background because that's when we can kind of play a little bit or play around a bit more. I haven't even used this one yet. It's so big, but that's going to be beautiful when I bust out some really big paper. I have some Arches watercolor paper, big, huge pieces of it. And when I do a few giant pieces for the art show that I plan to do, hopefully for next spring, this will be awesome for that. It's good. These are going to be great, but it is fun to push your limits a little bit and try something new. And I was just so curious because I've never used, not that I know of, 100% pure squirrel hair brushes, and I haven't really dabbled in too much with a lot of mop brushes in general. So I thought this was a good opportunity for me to learn and try something new. So that's them, you guys. They are absolutely beautiful. Again, there'll be a code linked in the description if you're interested in using that. So feel free to do that. Layer. So I am going to start with the smallest mop brush. And as I said before, we are using the Mungyo paints, and we're going to be doing a few mixes of color to create the look of this. So there's a huge palette of beautiful blues. I'm going to mix some with the indigo, the black, and then use these blues in here. Perhaps maybe a little bit of the permanent violet. But for the most part, I don't want to go too far into the purple because I can tend to do a lot of purple flowers, purple and pink. So I want to stick with the blues and working with those. So when we are working with a flower that's layered, it's best to work dark to light. And because we are using the dot technique, that could be a bit confusing. And so in the center of flowers, it's often a bit darker and more condensed with color because it is, the flower comes together, it's tighter in there. So the color is more concentrated. And then as you see, as I got out to the edges of this, I added in some yellow to create the look of some light on the some brightness on the tips of the flower. So when we're working from the inside, we want to do more concentrated color, darker color, deeper color. And then as we work out, we want it to open up and be a little bit brighter. Just as a guideline, it doesn't necessarily need to be that. As you can see, it's not that it's super dark in here or anything like that, but you can see that there is lightness as it moves out. So just keep that in mind so that it helps to keep the flower looking, 2-3 dimensional as opposed to it just looking flat. Keep that in mind. To start with, I'm going to use, on the outside, I'm going to use the light blue, which is beautiful. I love this light blue, 836. And I'm going to mix it with a little bit of the cobalt blue. And then I'm going to use that dots of both. And as I said, I'm going to show you guys, like, these mop brushes hold a lot of water. If you guys can see that, like, it's dripping. So if you're going to use a mop brush, we're going to really tap that off. You may even want to make sure you have that paper towel beside you so that you can just tap it. I just tap it ever so lightly to take a little excess off the brush. You don't want to take too much because the mop brushes they're mop brushes for a reason. But especially when we're going to go and put down some color, we don't need it to be too saturated with water or too diluted. So we're going to start back here. I'm going to put down a few dots of that light blue. And then a little bit of that light blue mixed with that cobalt. Closer to the middle. Now this, you're going to clean your brush off, but it is going to hold some color in there because it is such a big brush, which is okay. So now we're going to go and we're going to start by putting the tip down and we're going to push up and come down. And or I'm not being too fussy about staying in just that petal because this is how we're going to layer some of it up. And I'm leaving some white in there to create the look of light as well. Now, like, okay, I really like how that looks, but I would add a little bit more depth down here. So while it's still wet, you can go in and add a little bit more blue if you so choose in that V of where the petals connect. And if you want to add a little bit more concentrated light blue, so if you want to add a little bit more of that light blue while it's still wet, go ahead and put some up there just to add a bit more depth and strength to that petal. I'm putting that on when it's still wet so that it blends nicely and we're not getting super harsh lines. Okay, I really like that one there. I'm gonna move over to this section over here. Same idea, I'm gonna use that light blue, cobalt blue, mixed with light blue combo, maybe straight up cobalt blue. And so I'm gonna go and put down a few dots of that light blue, and we're gonna work all these petals at the same time. There's a whole bunch of them here. A little bit of that cobalt blue with the light blue mixed in. And then I'm gonna go in straight up with the cobalt blue. Actually, maybe I'll mix a bit of that cobalt blue with black. Just to mute it down a bit. Yep, like that. And then we're gonna put a couple dots of that in here. And we're gonna actually do quite a few of these petals all at one time. So clean your brush off really good, tap it. You don't want it to be too wet. And then again, I'm gonna go down on the side of it and we're gonna come up and we're gonna work all of these together at one time. I think that looks really pretty. Again, same thing as I did up here. If you want to add a little bit more color in there, now's the time to do it. So I've got some of that cobalt blue mixed with the black. Just putting that down in there for some depth. Oh, maybe I want to add some of that into this one. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to take some of that light blue and just do a few little highlighted edges up top here. There's a pool of water going on. So in order to clean up a pool of water, you can dry your brush off pretty good and go pick up some of that pool. It's also, as you can see, a lovely way to add highlight by picking up some of that paint. If you want to do that, that's a good technique to do as well. I'm going to move on over to this section over here. So you can see that it's darker in the center and moving to lighter and brighter as we get out to the tip of the flower. And you can see this likely would be a bit brighter because it's opened up. This would be a bit darker, but we don't need to worry too much about that. More so keeping some color concentrated in the center to give the look. So same dots, same thing, though that's the cobalt blue mixed with the black. Cobalt blue and the light blue. And then light blue. Working a big section here. Clean off your brush. And just play around with the color and the movement and all of that. That looks really nice. We've got a few puddles going on, and that's the trick with these mop brushes, is they do hold so much water. So it's about relearning with them how much to use. And for me, I mean, like I said, I'm just learning these a bit myself. I haven't used them a ton, but that's the fun, you know, just getting in there and playing around and trying out something new out of your comfort zone. That's how you establish your style and figure out what you like and what you don't like, and that's that. So it may take a couple practices to figure out exactly how much you want to use, but just really keep in mind that less is more when it comes to watercolor and all that stuff. So we're going to move on now to our next set of petals, which is kind of in between, and I'm going to mix up the color a little bit. We're going to stick with similar colors, but I think I'm going to go and move into a little bit of the Russian blue, which is similar to a turquoise. I'm going to do that. And then we're going to mix that with a little bit of turquoise with a little bit of the black for some depth. I think that'll be it. And we don't want to get too crazy because, of course, we want to leave some petals almost untouched because I like the look of that. So Again, we're using that number 2. I think that's probably the only one we're going to get to, just because these, until we get to the background. I guess I could probably bump up to the number 4. Oh, that's number 6. I could go to the number 4 and try that one. It's just going to hold more water, right? So similar style brush, it's just going to hold more water, which is not necessarily what we need at this point, but it's all good. I'll be drying it off a bit, but there's that nice the nice swirl here. As you can see, it moves that color beautifully. We're gonna go work in here. We're gonna do smaller dots because we're using this big brush. So smaller dots of the Russian blue mixed with the black, and some of that turquoise blue there. And I'm not doing a ton, we're going ever so lightly here. Clean off your brush. And you can overlap. It's all good. It's going to make a very cool effect. And you can leave white. So you can see there, you don't see a lot of difference in the colors. So I'm going to go down here and plop in a little bit of that darker color. And then I'm going to go up in the top and add some of that turquoise just up there. Add a little bit of that richness. It's like, okay, that might be a bit much. Clean off your brush. Just kind of go on clean off your brush and go on the angle and just move that color around a little bit so you can add in color as you go. And that's the beautiful thing about watercolor paint, is that it's nice if there's quite a bit of movement in there, because it just creates that flowy look. It's pretty wet over here, but yeah, we'll go in, oops. We'll go in here, got my fingerprint in there. Same colors we used in the last one. So the Russian blue mixed with the black, and then the Russian blue diluted quite a bit. Clean off your brush. We're going in on the side here. Bringing it up. The hardest part of painting like this is learning to trust the process and reminding yourself that you're going to be using the line and the ink to create details. So you can see that there's the drawing underneath there. We're going to go over that to give it the detailed look that we want. So while it can seem a bit abstract at this point, we really bring it all together. I love how you can blend these lines with these brushes. I love that. And move that water into where you want it to go. And then we're going to do our last one over here. Same colors. As I said, we're working blues. So we've got that dark Russian blue mixed with the Russian blue mixed with the black. Really diluted Russian blue. Clean off your brush, dry it off. Just like so. Over here, I don't love this disconnect, so I'm going to go and blur them together a bit. That's the beauty of these big mop brushes, you know, they have this awesome ability to really like move that water around or move the paint around. I think that's gorgeous. So in the center, the center of an anemone is, it protrudes. So you want to kind of keep it light on the one side to make it look like it's round. I'm just using the blue that's in there because we're going to be putting gold splatters in there to create that detail. So I'm just moving the paint around in there, what I've got in there, just to create that little bit of a look. Of course, this isn't so much about the detail, but I'm just using the paint in there to give it some background color. And we're going to go in with the gold splatter and all that good stuff. So, all right. That is honestly enough paint for here. It may look like pretty wild right now, but we're going to get in there with all the pen and the ink and all that good stuff. It'll be beautiful. So, all right, so we're going to do the stem. I'm not going to do the dot technique for the stem. I'm just gonna go in with I like the gray green. I just love the more natural color green. So I'm gonna do the gray green, maybe mixed with olive green. A couple of those colors together. Perhaps a little bit of the dark green just to give it more of that bright color. And we're just going to go with your tip of your brush. Lots of water on there because we don't want it to be too vibrant, like we don't want it to overtake. And we're just going to go straight down. Or a little curve, I guess. With the tip. That's the beauty of having these brushes with those nice pointed tips. You can really, see, you can really concentrate the color with the tip of the brush. And then you can also really blend it and move it with how big the actual brush is, which is pretty great. And we're going to really see that when we get into the background, which we're going to do next once our flower's totally dry. And in the background here, we're going to use the Fuumuui Opaque paints. And I think in the background, we're actually going to use the greens. So they're gray greens and then the yellow green or gray yellows in the background, maybe with a little dollop of some of the dark blue gray in there. But we're going to use those colors for the background with the simple technique that I've shown you guys on other tutorials. So just let this dry up and then we'll go in and do the background here. I'm moving into the background now. We're pretty dried up. So I'm going to use the big bad boy here, this number 12. Look at how beautiful the detail is on these. Quite amazing. Oh, this thing holds all the water in the world. This is beauty. Big juicy one. So it's huge. It's got tons of water. This is going to be fun for the background. Absolutely. So we're going to go just as I've done and just bring that water, straight water, clean, and we're going to just put it around the background on the right hand side to start with. I guess I should start on the left, but doesn't matter. Got a few bristles coming out here, which I guess is probably common with these brand new brushes. Like I'm sure you're going to lose a few. But yeah, so I put water down. I'm going to start with the light or the medium gray green, which is the one in the middle. Yeah, you can see between that and the cat hair. Anyways, and we're going to start by putting it, ooh, that's a lot. That's okay. We got this big brush to move all that color around. Look at so quickly. This is a beautiful way to do washes. Oh my gosh, like look at that. Isn't that awesome? So we're going to go on this side too. And we're just going to use what's left on that brush. I mean, if I wasn't doing a video, I'd just turn this around, but we're just going to kind of come down, go up the side. That's excellent. Like a background in 2 seconds with that big bad boy. Okay, we're going to move into a smaller one. So that's that nice big one. Great to do that wash. Unbelievable. Smooth. The water moves beautifully, evenly. That's great. So that number 12, delightful. We're going to go into the number 10. Actually, let's do a little bit of a bigger jump. We'll do the number 8. This one here, yeah, that's the 8. And now we don't need to put a ton of water on our brush now because there's a lot of water down and we want to get a little bit more concentrated. So I'm going to move in with the dark gray green. This one here. And we're going to add a bit more of that depth in and around some areas there might be shadow. And then we're going to just drag bits of it down to give it that wash type look. Doesn't need to be perfect all over. You just want to add a bit in there. This is drying up a bit more on this side. That's okay. So we're putting paint on the tip of the brush. And then we're going in on an angle and moving it up and around. It's starting to dry up a little bit. Again, absolutely performs beautifully. These brushes are a good time. I'm not gonna lie. They're a lot of fun for these backgrounds. For washes, like they're gonna be incredible. And I'm gonna go in with my number 2 to add just a bit of this yellow green. We're gonna go with the dark yellow green. The dark yellow gray. I keep saying green. The dark yellow gray, or the dark gray yellow. We're gonna add a bit of that in there. Want lots of water on your brush. And we don't need to add a ton of it. Just a little bit of it here and there for just some different color. But I mean, I guess we could go in with a little bit of the red. I don't know how this will look because there's already, yeah, let's do a little bit of it. Crazy. So a little bit of the red gray. Yeah, some of these little squirrel hairs are still falling out of the brushes, but again, this is the first time I've used some of these. I used a couple of them the other night just for trial. I'm just popping a little bit of that in there into some of the little corners. Honestly, because I just felt like it. Sometimes I think when something comes to your head, you just got to go for it and see what happens. And that's when you're like, whoa, that looks better than I even could have imagined. Like, look already how beautiful those little pops of that gray red look in there. And not adding too much, just enough. Got a water splotch there. Okay. All right, friends, we're going to let that totally dry up. That's our background. I think it looks great. Let everything dry up and get everything pushed aside. We're going to get out our Micron pen and our gold ink. But I just wanted to say to you guys that absolutely we're going to continue to use these in our future paintings because I love how you can move the water with them. And while this is my first time really diving deep into these mop brushes, I can tell that they're going to be a lot of fun to use and I highly recommend them. Something to play with, you know, something to try and to play with and to just create more unique style with them. And those washes are just like unbelievable. They just look so pretty. I love how that looks, especially using those Fuumuui paints. I am noticing one thing though, like where there is just too much water, you can see that they're creating these little pools and then it's kind of causing some weirdness with the paint, but that's okay. It's watercolor. Like it looks like a watercolor background. So these are actually incredible to use alongside these opaque watercolor paints. Honestly, these two things I've tried from Fuumuui, and I'm not even gonna lie, I'm not just saying it for the sake of saying it, I would be totally honest, but they have their place in painting and I'm quite impressed with them. So while the paints aren't artist grade paints or they haven't been tested for light fastness, they are so much fun to work with. So yeah, I highly recommend. So I'm just gonna put all my stuff to the side, let this all dry up, and then we're gonna get our Micron Archival Ink Pen out and our Windsor Newton Gold ink. While the background of our painting isn't 100% dry yet, it's getting quite there. So we're gonna work from the inside of our flower to the outside. As usual, hold your pen lightly. If you want a lighter line, if you want a heavier line, go heavier. We're gonna start with the inside. So there. Now we can still see our petals coming from underneath, which is important because we haven't done them all individually. So we're gonna start over here. And I'm going over them a couple times just as I have been. Like so. And working from the center outwards. All the way around, you guys. As I always say, you know, these are your paintings, so whatever you like, do, and whatever feels too much for you, don't do. So if the line work is too much, stop while you're ahead. I actually did the orchid the other day, and honestly, I liked my orchid painting far better prior to the line work. So that opened up a bit of a moment for me where I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe I don't always have to do the line work. What if I just went in with some gold, you know, and or some ink, like, so I might try that one again. I think this is really coming together nice, and I'm loving the blues. I'd like to know what you guys think about the blue color, because if you go look up anemone, you can find a really beautiful blue colored. And actually, it's funny, as I was saying, oh, it's like more concentrated in the middle, and then I got thinking about the anemone flower. I think some of the anemone flowers actually even have white in the center. I don't know about the blue one. I can't think off the top of my head where the petals do come to, they do turn white. So I said, oh, they got to be more concentrated because of color. But then I think, oh, sometimes they're white. And the next step is getting our gold ink. This Windsor Newton stuff settles incredibly. So it takes a while to shake it up. But this is what it is, the Windsor Newton Gold. I think that's going to look awesome with the blue. It's just a little more muted than the Speedball Gold. This one's really like a true vibrant yellow gold. This is more of a brass color. So get it shaken up. I'm going to go in and put in the lines so they come up and around. And you don't need to do every single one, because if you look at one of these flowers, there is a lot. We're going to add some in there. You know, and some of them will be longer and some of them are shorter. So we can just put black dots kind of close around. It's just giving the look of that. Doesn't need to be precise because we are going to go splatter. Now we're going to get our 10-0 liner brush. That's this guy here. So this is where we're going to go in and add some gold detail. I'll just quickly show you guys and then you guys can carry on. Otherwise we'll be here for days. This one's really good and mixed up, and it's very concentrated as well. At this point, this is where I like to put the gold detail in. We can start here. Got a little too much on my brush. Going in where some of those little loops are. Some squiggles. You know, right here, this looks good. You don't want to overdo it because it can look tacky if you do too much. But I think that we need a little more sparkle in our lives, so I like to put it in there. I know it's not for everybody, and I am totally cool with that. And this is your painting if you're following along. So do what feels right for you. As I've mentioned, I've had other people comment on different things that they've done in the line work. As one lady has used a stitching. She uses a long arm machine to go around her watercolor paper and do the outline. So do whatever. You don't even need to use black ink. You can use different colored ink and then say to heck with using any metallic, or you can go ahead and use metallic watercolor paint to do the whole thing. Like whatever excites you. This is just a little technique to show you guys like what you can do. So you can use the dot technique with any type of watercolor, gouache, metallic. Heck, you could probably do something similar with acrylic and it come out looking unreal. If you have a nice big brush with water on it, I bet you could do something similar with acrylic. And I bet it would look pretty crazy awesome. So again, just do what feels good to you. And if you don't like what I do, you can let me know. The odd person does from time to time, and that's totally cool. It's probably not going to change what I do. But of course, everybody's entitled to their own opinion and entitled to say it out loud. So if you like it, awesome. And if you don't, that's okay too. Like, let me know. Maybe let me know what you don't like about it. It's cool. I learned in art school when I was in university that constructive criticism is very important, especially in art where everybody interprets it so differently. Anyway, I'm going to carry on with this part and finish up these last little details. As you can see, I'm not doing a whole big bunch of them because we are going to go splatter the paint on real soon here. So I'm going to finish up these last petals over here, and then we will do our splattering. One area I didn't do with you guys yet is the stem, and I always do the same little bit of line work down the stem with the Micron, and then same, go in with a little bit of that metallic and lighten up your stem a little bit. Add some pizzazz into there. I like this one down here. A little subtle. Before I go and do this splatter, I always go over where the gold was and just retouch up those black lines, because sometimes I go over. I've said this on many tutorials. So if you don't stay in the lines like me, I just go back around them and add those lines back in there. This is where I like to take my number 1 script or number 2 script brush, whatever one you have. In the middle is where we're going to concentrate the splatters and move outwards. And as I've said before, I like the look of that because it looks like pollen to me. So we're going to do a lot in the center. You can get some big globs on there too. Yes. And then move outward. And as we move outward, finer dots. As we stay in the center, a lot. And that's what gives that look, as well as the stamens in there. So that's the anemone, and I think those look really beautiful. You know, if you did a set of 3 similar colors or something like that, I think that would look awesome. Right on, you guys. Well, that does it for this tutorial. Again, as I said before, if there's something I'm doing in the painting and you don't totally love it, then don't do it. If you really love it all, then follow along, do that. Take some of the techniques that I use and use them to create your own style. I think our style is always evolving. We're growing. We're learning new things, new tips, new tricks, new techniques. As artists, we constantly want to be creating. So I know for myself, my style has evolved even since I even started the YouTube channel. While I still love to do similar things as I've done before, I love to grow and explore and all that stuff. So do what you feel comfy with. There it is in all its glory, you guys. How beautiful is that? I think it turned out excellent. I love the blues. I think they turned out so good with that background. Yeah, so again, the Fuumuui Artist Squirrel Hair Set, the 6 brushes. Whoa, that's what we use today. Those are excellent. I would 100% recommend getting these. These are fun to work with. They're great for all your washes. You can even do some really pretty blending detail with these smaller ones and with the tip of the brushes. So 100%, I'm going to leave the link and the code for you guys to purchase them yourself. Use that code, get yourself a discount. I highly recommend it. And again, I use the Mungyo watercolor paint set. This is them here. They're just bright and beautiful. And then I did use for the background the Fuumuui 24 pan set of the Opaque watercolors for the background. I did use the Windsor Newton Gold metallic ink and the Micron ink. So that'll all be listed in the description. I'll put the link for the code, the discount code in the description as well. And if you guys like the tutorial, as always, please give me a thumbs up, like the video. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If there's something in the video, I've noticed that my videos are not getting as many views as some. So if there's something that you guys want to see, a technique, or that I'm missing when I'm doing these tutorials, please let me know, because I'd love to be able to get these tutorials out to as many people as possible, so more people can enjoy and to explore the watercolor painting or watercolor painting in general. So leave me some feedback and all that good stuff. There's more tutorials on the way. I've been doing quite a few cards because I have that art show coming up. That's on July 4th. So I'll be adding a few of my watercolor cards to the sale, along with some of these bracelets that I make. It's just for fun. I'm going back to school and I'm hoping to be able to make a little bit of money to help pay for some of my university with my hobbies. Anyways, you guys, one other thing is that I should be receiving my first payment from YouTube here soon, which I think is $170 some. I'm not entirely sure exactly how this all works, but as soon as I get it, I'll let you guys know. And then I'm going to buy some some stone ground, sorry, I'm thinking of the paper. Some stone ground watercolor paints that are made locally in Regina here. Like I just live 30 minutes outside of the city and they're made and produced right in the city and they're beautiful paints. And I wanted to get some, but I told myself I'd wait until I made my first bit of money from YouTube. So as soon as I get that, I will be buying those paints and I can't wait to share them with you guys. Anyway, that's going to do it for me today on this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.